Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Real American History. I'm your host, Tess Evans, public historian. And for this episode, I'm going to be giving a brief history about book burning in America and across the globe. So, the first thing really that we need to understand is book burning is nothing new. It's been going on for centuries as part of acts of power grabbing, warfare, retaliation, and as part of religious crusades, with goals of basically restricting information from those who were not considered elite rulers. And emperors and governments have sought to control the amount of and type of information available to the public using this type of method. For instance, in 213 BCE, Chinese emperor, and I might butcher this name, Qin Shi Huang, ordered a bonfire of books as a way of consolidating power in his new empire. And this emperor wanted to place certain schools of thought under government control, such as what was taught in poetry, philosophy, and history books at that time, so that he could not be compared to more successful or other virtuous rulers of the past. Another example is the destruction of the Library of Alexandria in Egypt in 48 BCE, which is basically considered the greatest repository of knowledge lost to fire. The structure and its books were burned during many, many years of political upheaval, so it wasn't just one time. And the Catholic Church banned books that challenged its authority, including works from theologian Martin Luther, whose teaching paved the way for Protestantism. Now, here in America, during the War of 1812, the British burned the Library of Congress, and Thomas Jefferson offered to sell his own personal library to replace the books that were lost. But there was congressional debate about which of Jefferson's books should be put in that library, because he had books written in foreign languages and some on topics that weren't really relevant to the use of Congress, or so Congress deemed. Now, a few months after Adolf Hitler came to power in 1933, pro-Nazi university students held book-burning ceremonies all across Germany. They destroyed books labeled un-German or undeutsch, including books by Jewish authors, pacifist works that criticized war, and works praising or promoting any kind of leftist political movements. One of the pro-Nazi students' goals was to completely destroy anything that didn't resemble the spirit of German culture, which excluded anything Jewish. In May of that same year, Nazis burned books by American authors like Upton Sinclair, Ernest Hemingway, and Helen Keller. And Keller actually sent a letter to the Nazi organizers of the book burning, writing, quote, "History has taught you nothing if you think you can kill ideas. Tyrants have tried to do that often before, and the ideas have risen up in their might and destroyed them. You could burn my books and the books of the best minds in Europe, but the ideas in them have seeped through a million channels and will continue to quicken other minds." End quote. The Nazis' goal was to completely control the people by not letting them read these authors' publications. And between 1955 and 1971, thousands of books were burned by the South African government. There were 2 million or so that were said to have been burned in Bosnia by Serbian nationalists in 1992. And in Mali, ancient writings were burned by Islamist fighters in 2013. And during the 1830s in America, anti-slavery and abolitionist literature was burned, especially in the South. In Charleston, South Carolina, there were 3,000 people who gathered in Post Office Square to destroy any of this type of literature, and they burned abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison in effigy. In America here in the 1940s and 50s, as the Cold War ramped up, members of the Binghamton, New York Board of Education proposed a public burning of textbooks thought to be destructive or rebellious. In the same decades, Americans also wanted to burn or ban books outright that painted America in an unfavorable light. And today, the actual act of burning books is rare, but 4 years ago, there was a Tennessee pastor who led burning of books like Harry Potter and the Twilight series, claiming they held demonic influences and taught witchcraft. But right now, today, many are just flat out banned, especially in schools. According to the nonprofit PEN America, since 2021, more than 1,500 books have been banned in 86 school districts, and the demand continues. So that wraps up this episode of Book Burning. I have a lot of sources in the description, lots of links, things you can go read, and especially a couple of great videos that give even more of an in-depth insight into this topic. But until next time, keep learning and reading, and we will see you again. Bye.